Humans are clever creatures, always seeking new ways. For many years we have looked to the sun. We learned to catch its rays with panels on land. These panels turn sunlight into electricity. But then, someone had another thought. What if these solar panels could float? The idea at first seemed almost poetic. Imagine great sheets of solar collectors gently bobbing on the water's surface, like metallic lily pads drinking in the sunshine. Our planet has so much water, oceans vast and deep, lakes calm and reflective, reservoirs built by human hands. Perhaps these watery expanses could serve a dual purpose, not just holding water but also harvesting the sun's generous gift. This was the initial captivating allure. It painted a picture of elegant solutions, a world where we didn't always need to clear forests or use up valuable farmland for our energy needs. Instead, we could use the surfaces of existing water bodies, the sun's energy captured cleanly, no smoke, no fuss, just silent power generation. The prospect of floating solar farms began to excite engineers, governments, and environmentalists alike. The benefits of these floating solar arrays seemed quite clear. Firstly, there is the matter of clean energy. Just like their land-based cousins, floating panels produce electricity. They do this without burning fossil fuels, which is good. This means less carbon dioxide going into our atmosphere. A step, however small, towards a healthier planet for all creatures. Then, there is the clever trick of saving land. Good land is precious, you see. We need it for growing food, for our homes, and crucially, for wild habitats where nature thrives. If we place solar panels on water, that land remains free. Free for the farmer's plow or the wild forest. This is particularly important in countries where land is scarce or where populations are growing rapidly. It seemed like a very sensible use of space indeed. And there's another rather neat advantage. Water, especially in warmer climates, has a tendency to disappear. It evaporates, rising into the air as vapor. Floating solar panels can help reduce this. By covering a portion of the water's surface, they shield it from the direct heat of the sun. This means less water is lost to the thirsty sky, saving water while making power. With such appealing benefits, the world did not wait long. Many nations eager for clean energy solutions began to experiment. They started to build these floating solar farms, some small, some impressively large. China, a country known for its grand engineering projects, quickly took the lead. They constructed vast arrays on lakes and reservoirs. Some of these installations are truly enormous, covering huge areas of water with their dark, light-absorbing panels. India, another populous nation with growing energy needs, also embraced the concept. With its many reservoirs and a strong push for solar power, floating solar seemed a natural fit. The government encouraged projects across the country, from sunny southern states to regions further north. The idea was to harness the sun wherever water bodies were available, reducing reliance on coal and saving precious land in a crowded nation. Japan too found floating solar particularly attractive. It is a mountainous country with limited flat land suitable for large solar farms, but it has numerous inland water bodies, many of them agricultural reservoirs. These became ideal candidates for floating solar installations. The initial hype was palpable. But, as is so often the case in our complex world, things are rarely as simple as they first appear. The initial enthusiasm for floating solar was understandable. The benefits, as we've seen, are certainly attractive. However, as more of these systems were deployed, new questions began to surface. Unforeseen shadows started to creep across the sunny picture. Scientists and environmental observers began to voice concerns. Concerns about the impact these floating structures might have, especially on the delicate ecosystems beneath them. One of the primary worries revolves around sunlight, or rather, the lack of it. These large arrays of solar panels, by their very nature, block sunlight. They cast shadows on the water below. Sunlight is the lifeblood of aquatic ecosystems. It powers photosynthesis in aquatic plants and algae. These tiny organisms form the base of the food web. If they don't receive enough light, their growth can be stunted, and this in turn can affect everything that depends on them. This reduction in light can also alter water temperature. The surface water shaded by the panels may stay cooler. As researchers delved deeper, the picture of life beneath the panels became murkier. One significant concern that emerged was oxygen depletion. In a healthy aquatic ecosystem, oxygen is vital. Fish need it to breathe, as do countless other small creatures. Oxygen is produced by those photosynthesizing plants and algae. It also enters the water from the atmosphere, through wind and wave action. But floating solar panels can interfere with both these processes. Less light means less photosynthesis, and thus, less oxygen produced. The physical barrier of the panels can also reduce wind action on the water surface. This means less mixing, and less opportunity for atmospheric oxygen to dissolve into the water. In some cases, particularly in still waters or densely packed arrays, this can lead to hypoxic zones, areas where oxygen levels become dangerously low. Such conditions are stressful, even lethal, for many aquatic species. The very creatures we hope to protect by choosing clean energy could be harmed. A rather unfortunate irony, isn't it? Then there is the curious case of algae blooms. One might think that less sunlight would mean fewer algae, and sometimes that is true directly beneath the panels. Beyond the ecological concerns, there are also practical engineering challenges. Mother Nature in her full power can be a formidable adversary. Water bodies are dynamic environments. They are subject to wind, waves, and sometimes violent storms. Floating solar installations must be robust enough to withstand these forces. Anchoring systems need to be incredibly strong and reliable. Otherwise, panels could be dislodged, damaged, or even sunk. Corrosion is another persistent foe. Water, especially if it has some salinity or pollutants, can be highly corrosive. The metallic components of the solar panels and their support structures are vulnerable. The floats themselves, often made of plastic, can degrade over time. They can become brittle from constant exposure to ultraviolet radiation from the sun. Maintaining these vast floating farms, ensuring their longevity in such a challenging environment, is no small task. It requires careful material selection and regular, often costly, upkeep. And then there is the matter of cost. While the price of solar panels themselves has fallen dramatically, installing them on water is often more expensive. Compared to traditional ground-mounted solar, that is. The need for specialized floating platforms, robust mooring systems, and underwater cabling all adds to the expense. So where does this leave our shimmering dream of floating solar energy? Is it the perfect solution we once hoped for? Perhaps not perfect, no. But then, few things in life or in nature ever are. It is clear that floating solar power holds considerable potential. The benefits of clean energy, land conservation, and reduced evaporation remain very real, and very important in our quest for a sustainable future. We should not dismiss this technology out of hand. However, the journey so far has taught us valuable lessons. It has revealed unexpected complexities, particularly concerning aquatic ecosystems, the shadows, the oxygen, the algae, the life beneath. These are not trivial matters, they demand our careful attention. We must acknowledge these challenges honestly, and we must work diligently to address them. Simply covering vast swaths of water with panels without thought for the consequences is not a wise path. That much is certain. The way forward requires a more nuanced approach. It calls for smarter designs that minimize shading, perhaps with panels spaced further apart, or using materials that allow some light to pass through. We need better regulations based on thorough environmental impact assessments.